January. So we'll get them back sometime in the springtime and hopefully have them ready to be on solo patrol and producing for us sometime late spring, early summer. That's if we hit the police academies right. We always do our field training programs first because that's really where we lose folks in our field training.
Yeah.
And also, and I think it was answered for me, but in most other fields, you know, I went to college for a journalism degree. Police don't do that?
We have degrees from all kinds of fields now. It used to be, we used to get officers with criminal justice degrees. But that's really not adequate to training for them to go on the road and do the work of a police officer. That's more intensive, that's more specific training. Actually go out and learn the skill sets of patrol and arrest and prosecution and all the things that we do. A criminal justice degree or any degree really, to me, demonstrates that people have a capacity to learn, broadens their horizons, it broadens their perspectives, it gives a broad view of the world, really. And I think when you come to us, when we hire you, when we think you have what it takes to be a Keene police officer, then the real training begins, regardless of what your background in education was.
But excuse me, I think my question was about the police academy. The police academy will not accept, I mean, if I went and got a degree in criminal justice, I could not apply to the New Hampshire Police Academy to get my certification and then go out and try to find a job?
You could actually self-tuition into the New Hampshire Police Academy if they have openings. And I can tell you, for every academy class, and they hold 4 a year now, actually in May of 2015, they're expanding the academy from 14 weeks to 16 weeks. You could self-tuition in if there is a slot available. And they take 60 they take 60 recruits to attend every academy class. There are waiting lists for police departments every academy class now. So no one's really self-tuitioned in since they begun the program, and I think that was perhaps 3-4 years ago. They just haven't had the availability.
Yeah.
So the way I look at it, there's two things. You want to create this fund, so for example, you said you have an unexpected retirement coming next week. You didn't plan for that retirement, so you're going to have extra overtime costs and other stuff that's going to eat up part of your budget. And the second part is when you're sending someone through the field work and all that process, you're paying them, but if they fail to make it, then you have to start all over again. And so you're not budgeting for that unplanned, whether it's a medical or disability or some reason, or someone gets a better job and disappears. And second, you really can't budget for someone washing out.
Correct.
Anything? Yeah.
How much does it cost to send an officer through the academy?
With the police academy, I would say start to finish when we bring them on board and we hire them. By the time we equip them and get them through our field training and through the academy, we've spent approximately $45,000.
Wow.
There's no tuition, however. It's not,
Yes.
he does not have to pay a tuition fee to the academy. That's the cost, the personnel costs and equipment costs
Correct.
for the individual.
So the city doesn't pay the
No,
police academy?
there's no charge to attend the police academy.
Oh, okay.
The officers attend and we pay them to attend.
Unless you're a journalism major.
Well, when I got a job, I had to go find a job. I didn't pay for my own college, you know. I just thought it was kind of fun, so.
Okay, and I think it's pretty clear that we have an issue to be dealt with that has become an even more severe issue with all this retirement going on. And knowing some of the officers, they're not retiring this year, pretty likely the year or the year after. They will, it just doesn't pay to keep working and working and working with the retirement system as it is. I think that this is a creative approach to dealing with the situation, and I'm in favor of it. Council Powers?
So I'm the guy that, started stirring the pot here, and we need to do something. And we talked about it briefly in the budget process, and we talked more about the number of officers, not the hiring process, et cetera. We need to talk about that further, not the time tonight, but we need to look at that. This is a very good process in terms of trying to get ahead of the curve, because we know it happens every year. It's happened as long as probably Kenny's been here, and as long as I've been around. But I believe we can do this within the existing budget. Because really, you got one resignation in the last 2 months, and you got a retirement coming up. So there's lapsed dollars in the current budget. Setting up a special fund for one particular department just doesn't seem like it's good business to me. It doesn't seem as if we're projecting out when we know statistically what happens in this organization, or, you know, why not next week, let's set up a fund for the Public Works Department. They got a lot of manholes that they need to take care of. It just doesn't seem like a good business perspective when, easily enough, if all conditions were met, if there were the candidates, and there were the slots in the police academy, and there was the timing in the training program, put that extra body on, because you know by the time they get to the end of the academy and the training thing, somebody else is going to have retired or resigned. And to take the fund, so you said, I don't think you should set up a special fund that just one department has for an operational perspective. But then to take it from last year's money is just wrong from my perspective as I look at the budget and how we tell the taxpayers we're gonna spend their money. We didn't spend that money this year. That's good in some respects. We got a little surplus. Give it back to them. Get that tax rate. We're never gonna get it down, but put it against next year's budget so that you can do projects like this or others that are very, very necessary without bringing the rate up tremendously. So I support the idea, but I can't support the funding mechanism when it can be, manager can just do this.
That's a question for the city manager. If this wasn't called a fund, couldn't you just call it a line item?
Yeah, I think so, because it's really, what we're really talking about here is unencumbered, unallocated fund balance, which the city council reallocates every year for a variety of purposes. We balance our budget every year with unallocated or undesignated fund balance. So it's not really taking it from a specific line item, even though many have contributed to the fund balance. So to the extent that the city council would come back later, and if we overspend Kenny's budget and would authorize that additional money from the contingency or the fund balance, that would certainly work as well. This is just a little cleaner by doing it this way, but I understand Councilor Powers' concern. It really all goes to the same bottom line. So you take a few dollars from unallocated fund balance this year. If it's used, then it's the same thing as if we had taken it from the lapsed salary dollars or some other place in this year's budget. In the end, it will not create a problem relative to the fund balance or the amount of money that the city has to spend. It's going to continue to carry forward. All we're really doing is saying to the staff is you can go ahead right now without knowing the final outcome of the budget year. You can proceed now to send people to the academy and incur these additional expenses because we've put aside a few dollars. Could we do it another way? Yes, we can. And if we do it the other way and it exceeds the amount of money that we have available for a particular line item, then we have to come back and ask you to increase that line item. And I was trying to avoid having to have you do that by putting aside a few dollars in this fashion.
Yeah.
Does the fire department have the same concern?
No, because this is a very unique experience that we have with the police department. We basically, with the fire department, we always have a ready pool of firefighters ready to go through our call force, et cetera. We don't have that same way of developing our police officers. The police department does a fantastic job getting out to college campuses and elsewhere to try to recruit police officers, but we have to go across the state of New Hampshire and into Massachusetts and around New England to actually draw from the pool of qualified candidates for policing, whereas fire department and qualified candidates are actually homegrown and they're going through the call force training, et cetera, and they're always readily available to us right here in our own backyard. The same thing with public works, et cetera. Occasionally, some department heads have come from out of state or different locales, but even there, we try to have a balance of people who have gone through our own system. But the police department, much harder to do that. We don't really have any way of bringing in people on a part-time basis or, and so to grow them in that fashion, so we have to go out and recruit.
And I know in other states, you have reserve police officers and stuff, so I don't think you have that in New Hampshire.
We don't have that here. We've obviously looked at part-time officers in the past. We're a CALIA accredited agency, and therefore our policies make it really difficult. When you talk about part-time officers, I think people have the mentality sometimes that you train them to a part-time standard, and that's not the case at all. You have to train them to a full-time standard, and so if it takes us 6 to 9 months to train a full-time officer, it takes us 12 to 18 months to train a part-time officer, and you're still in the same boat relative to overtime, and actually you have additional costs with equipment and other required trainings. And it's really difficult for people on a part-time basis to do this type of work and to maintain those skill sets that you really have to exercise on a daily, if not weekly basis.
Well, committee, what's your pleasure, as they say? Council Clark?
It's not my turn.
No, it's not your turn for a motion. I'm just trying to hold a sense of the committee before, is there any way to make you happy with this?
I think the city manager can take care of this administratively, and, the practical answer is, when's the last time the Keene City Council said no to an expense in the regular budget process? We passed a budget that was higher than the guideline.
I'd be happy to do it that way.
I think he can handle it without any problem whatsoever.
Yeah.
Without any council action. We don't get involved in personnel stuff. He can handle it.
Mr. Chairman?
That's my opinion.
I certainly could do it that way, but it really would be helpful to know if the city council supported this, doing it.
So a motion could be such that you were stating that the matter be handled administratively through staff with the concept supported by council.
You say, I'll second it.
So moved.
Did you want to speak to the
Yeah,
motion?
he made the motion, I seconded it.
Okay, we're on discussion.
Okay, I agree wholeheartedly. I trust John, you do the right thing, and there's no doubt in my mind, I know we don't speak for other people, but there's no doubt in my mind that last city council meeting in June, and you come in and say, hey, we've got this problem, we need some money unallocated, I will wholeheartedly support it, and I think everyone else will wholeheartedly support it. It's just that thing that crossing over that fiscal year, going back, that's, as a finance guy, I just have a problem doing that. And you coming to me right before the end of the year, books close, and say, this is what we need, can we fix it? And like I said, I'll wholeheartedly go stand up and support you to get it fixed.
Okay, we have a motion that's been made and seconded. Anything from the public, from the committee? Hearing, seeing none? I'm seeing that there's no public also. All in favor? We are unanimous.
Thank you.
And I know that was item 9. That concludes our regular agenda. I thank the viewers of Channel 10 for joining us this evening, and